Hello subscribe, you are all welcome to my channel. My name is Divine. Thank you for coming back. For those who have subscribed to this channel, thank you all for subscribing. Okay, so tribe, you are welcome back. We are starting our beginners class fully. So if you have watched my tutorial on how to take the accurate body measurement for beginners booster class, you're going to understand this tutorial very well. But if you have not watched it, you will need to go and watch it so that you will understand everything. So we're going to be learning how to draft our full scale bodies today. Now, full scale body is when you want to draft a blouse for your blouse that will not have peplon, or you want to make your shirt, any dress that will start from your shoulder to the upper hip. That is what we call the full scale body. So I'm going to take you through this, and trust me, it's going to be detailed and explicit. If you follow everything I'll teach you here, I congratulate you. So these are the measurements you'll be needing when you want to draft your own full scale body. So you're going to take your own measurements. So if you don't know how to take measurements, I'm going to drop a link in the comment section. You can just click on it and go and watch it. It's going to help you really. That tutorial also is very detailed. So these are the measurements you need to take. You are going to take your own blouse length, the bust circumference, you are going to take your shoulder measurement, you're going to take nipple to nipple, that is your bust span, and you're going to take your bust point, that is from the shoulder to your nipple, and you're going to need your front length and back length. So from our measurement class, I've talked a lot about that. Your front length and back length, they are not supposed to be the same. So we are heading straight into this tutorial. As you can see, I already have a rough sketch. I want us to save our time. That's why I drew out all this. So these are the tools I'll be working with: my tape measure, my paper scissors, my hammer curve. I have the marker. I'll be using marker for feasibility. I want us to see it very well. But on the norms, you are supposed to use pencil to draft your pattern. That is why I used pencil to sketch out this. The first thing you want to do when you want to start your pattern, let me turn this one so that you understand what I'm trying to say. The first thing you need to do is this: you are going to determine the amount of paper you need. And how do you do that? From your measurements, you will have about 3 circumferences. Your blouse length, as in where your blouse ends, you are going to measure the circumference of that place, your bust circumference, and your waist circumference. Those are the 3 measurements, 3 circumferences that you will have when you are drafting full scale body. But if it is half scale, it's going to just be 2 circumferences, and that is going to be your bust and your waist. But because this one is full scale, that's why we have 3. So out of the 3 circumferences, now you're going to look at the biggest. You're going to pick the biggest out of the 3, and that is what you're going to use to determine the amount of paper, as in the width. You know, circumference has to do with roundness, so it has to do with the width. So from my own measurements now, the biggest circumference is my hip, the upper hip, my blouse hip, and that is 38. I have 38 for my hip, I have 36 for my bust, and I have 28 for my waist. So out of the 3, 38 is the biggest, and that is what I use to determine the amount of paper. So that is what I use to determine this line to this place, as in the width from here to here. Do you get it now? Let me use my marker pen to trace it out so that it will be visible enough for you to see. As you can see now, I have drawn out the shape. So from this place to this place, is the circumference, while from here to here is going to be the length. So this part we can just label it. This part we can call it CF. When you hear CF, it means center front, and this part we can just call it CB. This is our center back. So from here to here is my length, which is 23, and from here to here is the biggest circumference that I told you, which is 38. So I divided 38 into 2. 38 divided by 2 is going to give us 19. So that is from this place to this place. I just added 1 inch, making it 20, so that I have enough space to just walk around on the pattern paper. You should always know why you do what at every point in time. You know, I said if you want to draft your pattern, if you are drafting it on your own, it is always good you use pencil. Why? Because marker normally has thickness. It adds to the measurement. As you can see now, this line is thicker than that of the pencil, so it is always good to use your pencil so that it will not add to your measurement. Having known the amount of paper you'll be using for your pattern drafting, the next thing you want to do is divide this paper into 2. You know, I've labeled it. This part is CB and this part is CF. So that means you are going to divide this paper into 2 equal halves, and that is going to be 20 into, when you divide 20 into 2, you will have 10 inches. And you're going to go ahead and just rule out your 10 inches like so. So this 10 inches is going to be half of the pattern, 1 for front and the other part for the back. Can you see it now? So this is our CF, this is our CB. If you are working with your circumferences, you are going to be dividing the circumference. All the circumferences, you'll be dividing them into 4. But for the length, you are not going to divide, you are not going to subtract. You just input the exact figure you are working it. You know, by the time you want to transfer this on your fabric now, you are going to be, this one, the CF is going to be on fold. So anytime you see sign like this, it means it will be on fold. So though depending on what you are working on, if you are working on a blouse that we have zipper in the front, that means you are going to cut this part open. But you know, most of the time our zipper is always at the back. So that means when you want to transfer this one on your fabric as well, it's going to be into 2 pieces. So the center back is going to be in 2 pieces. So after this now, the next thing we're going to do is to insert our neck and our shoulder slope. So standardly, you can just use 3 by 3 for the width of the CF center front neck, 3 by 3. So the width is going to be the same for both the front and the back, but the depth, you can just use 3 for the front and use 1 for the back. Why are we using that? Because this is pattern and it is subject to alteration. You can alter the neck, both the front and the back, to any style of your choice. So I'll just go ahead and measure 3 by 3 for my neck width and depth for the front. My neck width is 3 and the depth is 3. I will measure it like that, and I'll just use my cuff to get the shape. I hope you are still with me. So this is going to be for your neck, for the front. So the width of the back as well, just like I said, is going to be 3. So I measure 3, and the depth I will use 1. So go ahead and connect it. So this is going to be for the back, neck depth and width. So we are done with that. So the next thing now is our shoulder measurement. Now the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 15. At every point in time, whatever your shoulder measurement is, when you want to plot it on your pattern, you'll be dividing your shoulder into 2. So my shoulder that is 15 inches, I'll be dividing it into 2, and that's going to give me 7.5 or 7.5, as you may want to call it. So you're going to put it down for both the front and the back. So don't forget, you are not going to measure the whole shoulder measurement. You divide it into 2. So that is where our shoulder measurement is. So on that point for the front, your shoulder measurement, so to get your shoulder slope for the front, I will use 1.5. Do you get it? And for the back is going to be 1 inch. Please, I want you to get it straight. The reason why that of the front is deeper than that of the back is because, you know, it is always good for your shoulder, the back shoulder, to rest a bit on the front shoulder. That is why that of the front is deeper than that of the back. So from this point now, you're going to connect it back to your neck tip. Can you see it now? So we have it like this. So this is going to be your shoulder slope for the front, and this part is going to be the shoulder slope for the back. The next thing you want to do is to insert all the vertical measurements. So I'll be using my own measurements. Make sure you use your own measurements. The first vertical measurement we want to input is our chest line or bust line. So to get your bust line, you'll be needing your armhole measurements. So and there is a formula I love using when I want to draft my armhole. It works for me perfectly, and I want to believe if you apply it, it's okay. So the formula is you dividing your bust into 6 places. Divide your bust by 6 inches and you add extra 1.5. You're going to be inputting your armhole measurements on your shoulder slope at the back block. The reason why is because shoulder slope for the front is deeper than that of the back. So you don't want to put it here. It will make your armhole to be bigger than it ought to be. So take note of that. You should always start inputting your armhole from the back block. So I have my 7.5 here now. This is my 7.5. But for me to measure this line across and have the same thing, I will have to bring it back to the starting point here and measure. I'll just add the shoulder slope for the back to it, which is 1 inch, and that's going to give me 8 inches. So 8 inches is going to be my chest line. So I've measured 8 inches. So you're going to rule a line across your bust, or your chest line is going to be for both front and back block, and that is why I will be drawing a line like this to connect the two of them together. Can you see it? So you can just go ahead and label this part, this line, your bust line. Bust line. So the next thing I want to do now is to input bust point. Bust point is going to be for front alone because you don't have bust at the back. So you must know that your bust point will not go across both the front and the back block. So the bust point I'm working with is 10 inches. I'll mark my 10 inches and I'll just go ahead and draw straight line for front alone. So this is my bust point. Are you with me? So for the front T, the next one we're going to input is our front length. The front length I'm working with is 16. So I will input that 16 inches. This is my 16 inches. And I'm going to draw a straight line. Front length is for front block alone. So your front length will not go across as well. So we have it like this. So this is my front length. And of course, the remaining part is going to be from shoulder to the blouse length. So I can call this place front length. You can just go ahead and label it front length. and this one is going to be blouse length, BL. Now let's input that of the back. So the next thing on the back is to input the back length. Now the back and the front length are not the same. You may not understand this if you have not watched the measurement class. So the back length I'm working with is 14. So like that, if you take away 14 from 16, that means this block front and back length has 2 inches difference. Yes, so this is it. This is my back length, which is 14 inches. Now we'll go ahead and insert our armhole measurements. The armhole I'm working with is 7.5. So the 7.5, before you can draw the shape of your armhole, you are going to be bringing down your shoulder measurement. So this is it. This is my shoulder measurement. The one you have here, you are going to bring it down on your bust line. So I are going to note it. Just note it now. So you do the same thing for the back. Your shoulder measurement, you bring it down on your bust line. Now there is something I want to tell you. Whenever you are placing your measurement, that's the sense of CF and the CB. Your measurement, the starting point should always be from the CF inside like this. Can you see the way I place my measurement? And when I wanted to put this one, I turn the tape rule like this. So it's very important. You don't want to measure it from the side towards the center bar. No, it's not correct. You measure from the center towards the side. You measure from the center towards the side. Do you get it now? So we have brought the shoulder measurements down. I will go ahead, and for me to get the across measurement for the front, I'll just go up by 3 inches. From your bust line, just go up by 3 inches. But for you to get the across chest for the back, you're going to measure the depth here from this shoulder slope to the bust line, and you are going to divide it into 2 equal halves, and you are going to note. So you are going to note the 2 points. Do you get it now? For the front, you go up from the bust line, go up by 3 inches. For the back, you're going to measure the depth, everything you have here from the shoulder slope to the bust line, and you divide it into 2 equal parts. So on those points now, for the front, on this point on the front, you go in by 0.75. So you go in by 0.75 and you just mark. But for the back, you just go in by 0.5. Do you get it now? So you are going to be connecting, you're going to be drawing from the shoulder slope here. You are going to draw a line to this place, and you are going to connect it to your bust measurement. So that's what you are going to do even for the back. So let me show you how to do it. From the shoulder slope, draw your line down like this. Can you see it? You do the same thing for the back. From the shoulder slope, bring it down to the across chest here. Do you see it now? And to get the shape, the curve of the armhole, you put your armhole curve like so, and you're going to draw it to connect to your bust measurement. Can you see it? Now you repeat the same thing for the back. So I'll just go ahead and do this, and we are done with the upper part of this pattern. The next thing we're going to do now is to input our dart. So for you to get your dart leg, we have dart leg and we have dart intake. The line is the dart leg, while the space you are going to take out is a dart intake. So for you to get your dart line, you'll be using your nipple to nipple, that is your bust span, Whatever your bust span is, you just divide it into 2. Mine is 8. Dividing 8 into 2 is going to give us 4. So you're going to measure 4 from the hem here, and you're going to extend it to the bust point here. This is 4. So you are going to draw a straight line to connect it together. You do the same thing for the back. Do the same thing for the back. Just use your nipple to nipple measurement, divide it into 2. So this one is going to touch the bust line like so. You know, we don't have bust point at the back, so you make sure the line touches the bust line like that, and it will reach the hem. Can you see? So these are dart line. So the next thing is to input the dart intake. Now you can just use, it depends on what you are working on, but on this pattern I will be using half inch, half on this side, half on this side. Your dart intake can be more than half, it depends on what you are working on, but for this project I'll be using half inch. So that means I'll be using half this side. Note, I am placing that intake on my waistline, my front length. So you're going to do the same thing for the back, half on both sides on your back length. Now I've taken the dart intake like that. So the next thing you are going to do to get the shape, you are going to be connecting it to the bust point. So you're going to draw it, you know, your shape, the shape of your dart is going to be like this. Can you see it? So you do the same thing for the other side like this. I have taken out 1 inch. You know, we are going to be holding, it's either you hold in this intake or you cut it out, it depends on what you are working on. Now to bring the dart intake down, on your hip measurement you can just go up by 2 inches. You can go up by 2 inches to know where your dart is going to end, and that is what I've just done. So I'll go ahead and bring down the dart intake. Can you see? And the front dart is okay like this. So you're going to do the same thing for the back. On the hem, just come up by 2 inches. That's going to be the end point of your dart. And on the bust line, just connect it to the half inch you have taken, just the same way we did for the front. Yes, our dart is okay now. The next thing to do is to insert all our horizontal measurements. To insert your horizontal measurements, we have done that of the bust. Can you see it? Your bust measurement will always be on your bust line. Whenever you are using bust dart technique, the bust measurement is going to be on the bust line. So take note of that. You don't want to measure your bust here on the bust point. No, measure it on the bust line, and that is what I have done. So the next thing to do now is to measure the waist. The waist measurement I'm working with is 28. You know, I told you you should always measure from CF inward. So my waist is 28. 28 divided by 4 is going to give us 7. This is a 7. Don't forget to return. You know, I told you it's either you hold in this one or you cut it out. So you must replace it so that you will not have shortage. So it is 1 inch. I will return it back like so. Can you see it now? And I'll just go ahead and measure my hip measurements. So my hip, the hip I'm working with is 38. 38 into 4 is going to give me 9.5. So we have 9.5 like this. So this point to this point, I'm going to connect it together as seen. Just draw your line to connect it together. So do you get it now? All right, and we're going to do that of the back circumference as well. But before we put the back circumference, we are going to be contouring our CB. You know, our back is not flat, So you need to contour this so that the zipper, your zipper, this is the side you're going to be adding your zipper, so that your zipper will relax very well. You are going to use this one to eliminate bulge, so it's very, very important. You can use between ½ inch to 1 inch depending on what you are working on, but here I'll be using ½ inch as well. So from the CB, I'll just go in by half and you mark. Now this point, we are going to be connecting it to the point where we have our across chest for the back. So you're going to rule your line like this. See the way I'm placing my ruler? So you're going to rule your line like this. Can you see it? To this point. And to bring it down, you are going to measure 2 inches as well above your hem line. So you draw your shape. Can you see the shape like this? So like this, now you have eliminated bulge at the back. So meaning this part is going out, so we are cutting it out. This part is not part of the pattern. That intake also is going out either by holding or by you cutting it out. So this is going out as well. So those parts I've shaded, they are going out. Now I can just go ahead and input my waist measurement on the front length, which is 7 inches. Now note, you are not going to start the measurement from the CB again. This is our new CB. So you put your measurements here from this place to this place, and that is 7 inches. And you're going to return the dart intake, which is 1 inch. Can you see it? So you mark. I already have my bust measurement here, and I'll go ahead and measure my hip measurement. This is my hip measurement. So I'm going to measure it. Let me draw this line to be visible so that you can see it very well, because this is not part of the. Can you see it? So this part is going out. It's going out like this. Do you get it now? So connect this point to this point to this point, just like we did for the front, and we are good to go. Now the difference between the front and the back, my front length is 16, my back length is 14, so the difference is 2 inches. That is what we are going to use to create our bust dart. That is why we call this pattern drafting method bust dart technique. So I'm going to input the 2 inches. Whatever your difference, yours could be 2, 3, 1, half, whatever it is. Don't worry, since it is your own measurement, just input it. So the 2 inches, I'm going to connect it to the apex, to the bust point. Make sure the line must reach the apex like this. Can you see it? Now for you to have proper line when you want to cut out, for this side not to gape, you can just go ahead and divide this line into 2 like so, and just come out like this. Draw a form of triangular shape. You are going to see it when by the time we cut it out. This will help your paper not to gape. Can you see it? So this part also is going out of this pattern. All right, we are almost done. The only last thing I would love us to do is to work on the hem. The hem, I don't want to leave it straight. It is always good when you give it shape, just a little bit of curve there, and you can do that on the side for both front and the back. So you can just use between 1 to 1.5 to shape it. You may be wondering if it's going to affect the length. No, it's not going to affect the length, because we have this one by the side, so it cannot affect your length in any way. It will just give that place shape. So you're going to be connecting it to your dart leg as shown. Can you see it? And you do the same thing for the back. All right, so this is our complete full scale bodice pattern. This is what we have. So I'll go ahead and cut out this pattern. So to cut it out, cut it from the center. First thing first, cut it from this middle point. And the next thing is for us to close the bust dart, because I said it earlier, we must make this side, the two sides, to align, and the only way we can do that is by closing this bust dart. So you cannot close one dart without opening another dart. So that is going to make me to open this dart. So I'll open it. I'll just go ahead and open it like this. Can you see it? Just open it. You make sure it touches the apex like this. Can you see it? So like this, now we have access to the bust dart. I'll just go ahead and fold it like so. Can you see it now? So let me just cut this one out. So you see it now. So after cutting it out like this, you can just shape out. You know, this part is going out. Cut it out. This is the part we shape. And you cut this little excess here. Cut it out like so. Can you see it? So go ahead and cut this line out too. Can you see it? I have cut out that part. So the next thing, you can just go ahead and cut this side. All right, and go ahead to the armhole side. So this is how to cut your armhole. And the shoulder slope. Can you see it? So I'm going to be leaving the neck for now, because we may want to use it for, you can use it for any neckline of your choice. So do you see the shape we put the other time? Assuming the shape is not there, this place will not align like this. So take note of that. I'll go ahead now and cut the back. So I'll start my cutting from the CB. I hope you can see it. So this is it. This is how to go about it. Now I said that part is going out. Yes, I'm done with that. And I'll go ahead and cut this part as well. Okay, the next thing I want to cut now is the side of my back and the armhole side. So don't forget to cut out your shoulder. Alright, so as you can see, the both sides now align because I have closed the bust dart, and our pattern is fully ready. I really love the outcome. So you can give yours trial and share it with us on our Facebook group, Cut and Sew Tribe. So if you find this tutorial helpful, give us thumbs up, leave your comments in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting tutorials till I come your way next. I remain your tutor Divine. Bye.